necessarily I will be very schematic, and I will try to be very concrete in the messages I want to bring to your attention. And the fourth warning is that I will not use any PowerPoint. Frankly speaking, I hate PowerPoints because because I'm very old-fashioned, I think that PowerPoints very often distract people from thinking on what the other wants to say. As I said, before the invention of the PowerPoints, the speaker has one challenge, which was to make his or her message understood by the audience. And the audience had another challenge, which was trying to discover what the hell the speaker was trying to convey to them. Now, with the PowerPoints, people risk being very bored, so well in the part of the speaker, which simply goes slide after slide, and on the part of the audience who passively looks at the slides. So no PowerPoint. After these four warnings, the four messages and the conclusion. But I will begin with the conclusion, so you'll know perfectly well what is my intention with my presentation. The conclusion is the following. I hope you'll tell me whether I succeed or not. I hope in awakening your interest. So to those who know, to those who do not know so much, and to anyone participating in our meeting. If your interest is awakened, I'm sure that the conclusion will be we should continue to discuss this, because I will simply have created to you more than a confusion than a clarification of all the issues. So if I succeed, and I succeed awakening your interest and creating some healthy confusion in your minds, then we should continue. On OpReal side and on the Sphere program side, Nicole Fon is here, who is the boss of Sphere. We are willing to organize national events, national days, national technical assistance missions, regional ones, at the discretion of the Palestinian NEO, our friend Tamir, and within the framework of the Sphere project. Because I insist, I hope this will be the conclusion. And now I will go to the four messages on substance. The first message is dispelling a misunderstanding that I fear is moving in the air and planning in your minds, which is a misunderstanding about the real situation in Europe, the European Union, and the European higher education area. The misunderstanding is that probably you think, as so many people think outside Europe and even in Europe, that students in Europe, or to make it more concrete, in the European Union, have the right to earn credits in a university in country A, that could be his or her own country, Spain, and then after 2 or 3 years, pack these credits into the baggage and move to another university in country B, let's say Germany or Sweden or Denmark, have these credits recognized and continue studies there in a university in Berlin, for example. This is absolutely wrong. Absolutely. This is not the case. But you can understand that not only it is not the case, it cannot be the case. Because if this was the case, all students would begin their studies. In the university, they have neither from home and cheaper and easier, and with the credits, then they would go to a prestigious university like the Free University of Berlin, or Humboldt in Berlin, or Heidelberg, or Hamburg, or Copenhagen, or Uppsala, and finalize their studies there, obtaining a much more prestigious diploma. Good universities would be flooded by students that land there with their credits earned in second or third-rate universities. Of course, this is not the case. So, if you ask me what is the case legally, I would say, listen, as I'm a Spaniard, and I cannot forget that today is the 50th anniversary of the death of our dictator, Francisco Franco. Good commemoration. In the 70s, when Franco was alive, I went to the United Kingdom to study with the grant I could catch. And what did I do? I applied for admission at the University of Reading in the south of England, and I was admitted, and my third level Frankist diploma was recognized. Of course. Why? Because I had a professor there who recommended me and who helped me to get admitted at that university and at that postgraduate program. The situation now is the same. You can ask, and the receiving university will say yes or no. Normally, no, because if not, they would be flooded by universities. So this myth that there is the possibility or the right to transfer credits from one university or the other, please forget it. This is not true. I have a very good experience that I will share with you in a few days, which is my older granddaughter who has followed a 4 years exchange program between a university in Barcelona, a university in France, Toulouse, and a university in the Netherlands, Maastricht, and her experience is completely in conformity with this strong denial I have of the myth of credit transfer. The second message, this is very complicated, so I will simply bring it to your attention, is to distinguish radically between action by the European Union and action in the framework of the Bologna process. These are two completely different processes. If you tell me, well, but they are interconnected, of course. In social reality, everything is interconnected with everything. But the processes are absolutely separate, to be distinguished, and I will summarize their story to you. The first in time is action by the European Union. The European Union is not a state, it's not a group of states, it's a political animal that is characterized by having only a specific competences. In the Treaty of Rome, there were no competences on education attributed to the European Economic Community. However, there were competences on supply of services and right of establishment. And you'll understand that from the perspective of supply of services and right of establishment, the issue of the professional effects of diplomas has something to say and to be said about, because they can constitute the differences in national legislations non-trade barriers for the provision of services or establishment. So in the 70s, very early, more than 25 years before Bologna was even mentioned, the European community began to harmonize curricula for certain regulated professions: medics, paramedics, and architects. It was so difficult and so complex that this idea was abandoned. Further, the European community discovered that harmonizing curricula for the obtention of diplomas is something that had no meaning for her, besides allowing for free circulation of professionals. But once done, and there was nothing else to be said there. So the approach was changed, and in 1985, remember the date, in 1985, the European Council received a report that was charged by it to an Italian diplomat and a team of people, which is the Adonino report. I will give you the references on all this later on, which, with the excuse of youth and people's Europe, Europe for the citizens, invented Erasmus and the European credit transfer system. And this was invented 14 years before than Bologna. So Erasmus is much previous to Bologna. And it was a mechanism in which the European community empowered universities. Do not forget these two words. Empowered universities are to get to agreements and begin to change universities. And from that moment, 40 years ago, up to now, this has been the history of Erasmus and European Union action on this. As this was considered worrying by certain member states, because member states are very jealous of their own competence in the area of education. So the Big Four met: Germany, Italy, France, and the United Kingdom. The four ministers met and decided to launch the Bologna process. Look at what I'm saying to you. Against the impingement of the European community in the area of education, saying this is ours, and as this is ours, we will control this. And Bologna was launched. So you can see that the approach is different, that the logic of intervention was also different. Okay. So now to Bologna. When Bologna was launched, two lines of action, this is the third message, two lines of action were launched in the framework of Bologna. One was on substance of learning and of teaching. The substance is all these arguments that most of you know on skills, competences, that what is important is not an addition of different competences, but a specific competence, but a capacity to think, to solve problems, skills, and so on. By the way, this is the part I respect more of the Bologna process. And then there was a second line of action within Bologna, which was logistics, the logistics of teaching and learning, dividing one academic year into semesters, beginning to establish accountability of accounts of numbers of hours here and there. And you will not be surprised that around 12 or 13 years ago, the Secretary General for Education in the Spanish Ministry of Education, the Secretary General for Higher Education, told me in his office, literally, please believe me, I didn't have a tape recorder, but please believe me, Bologna is nothing else than an accounting method. Because for him, Bologna was simply an accounting method. And all the rest, he didn't care at all. This can be unfortunate because I'm not convinced at all that the logistics of Bologna are the best. To say simply one idea to you, it has led just to a multiplication of exams, because as there are two semesters, but each semester is independent from the other, students are making exams and writing exams all the time. Many people would say that it is much better for digestion of content to have a full year course than to have to compartmentalize it in 2 semester courses, more or less with the same content. But this is an open discussion. What I want to bring to your attention is that concerning Bologna, you must distinguish the logistics from the substance, that what has become dominant are the logistics and not the substance. This is an unfortunate development, but it is like it is. And the fourth message, which probably is the more important one for you in the future and for you, Amir, is that if you ask me why, despite what I have just explained to you, why despite this, there has been something going on in Europe, something positive in terms of integration, very positive in terms of integration, and in particular in terms of student mobility, I would give you the answer in one sentence. The mechanism or the solution or the answer to this question is, first, empowering universities. Empowering universities to get into agreements, someone with some others. In the case of my granddaughter, the agreement was between a university in Barcelona and one university in Toulouse and one university in Maastricht. For a student in Madrid or in a small town in Spain, the agreement will be between different other universities. And universities have got empowered for 2 reasons. First, because the European Union has pushed them or has helped them with the Erasmus program. This has helped to empower universities, has made it fashionable for students to get Erasmus if they are from a relatively well-off family that can pay them the studies abroad, because the scholarship Erasmus is very small and they continue to be paid by the students. And the authorities and the universities that are more open at internationalization has been able to say, oh, we must take advantage of Erasmus because this is fashionable and is good for our university. And the Bologna process has helped saying, listen, Europe is good. So if Europe is good, let's try to get to agreements between universities. But I could go now back from the beginning because I'm already at the end. What has been the legal instrument? The legal instrument has not been top-down harmonization. The legal instrument has been agreements between universities. But you say agreements between universities on the basis of which legislation? I would answer you on the basis of their divergent national legislations. Because national legislation in Germany is different from national legislation in Spain or in France or in the Netherlands. But the universities, the authorities, the more interested lecturers, you, all of you, if you were in a European university, would know how to juggle with these different national legislations and national provisions to get where you want to arrive, which is having students moving around from one university to the other. So, Amir, dear friends, I have kept my promise, I think. I have taken a bit less than 30 minutes. It would be a pleasure for me, coming to the conclusion that I advanced, being able to share with you in the very near future. There could be next year many sessions going into the details of all this, going into the details of recognition, for example, distinguishing between three aspects of recognition that are completely different: that of the professional effects of diplomas, that of the academic effects of diplomas, and that of the recognition of periods of undergraduate students abroad. I'm really at your disposal. And as I said from the beginning, for me and my family, it is the greatest possible honor to be here with you, trying to contribute and trying to support the Palestinian people. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ramon. We appreciate your speech and this introduction about the Bologna and your critical view as well. This is very important in the case of the Palestinian, because this is always the question: do we need Bologna in Palestine? How we can align this Bologna process within the higher education system? Before we move to the second speaker, if you allow me, my colleagues, so maybe we can have the question at the end of the session in order to have a good debate once we listen to everyone with us. Before we move to the second speaker, maybe it's good to mention we have a variety of people with us from the academics from different universities, and from the Dean of Admission Registration to Faculty of Science. We do have some administrative and international relation offices, Dean of Economics and Administration, and different faculty members with us. So this is important, and I see some Vice President of Academic Affairs and their colleagues. So this is good to see all of you, and this is good to have the discussion later on. So Samir, we move to you and to see how we can really align the Palestinian and QF with the Bologna system, the effort of the Ministry of Education and Higher Education. And you can introduce yourself for everyone as well, if people they don't know you, in order to get to know each other more and to have the discussion later on. Thank you very much. Mr. Samir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Amir, for inviting me for this event. Actually, first of all, I hope that you can hear me very well. My voice is clear, loud. I would like to thank Mr. Ramon for his introduction and for his speech about the Bologna system. And I think we all know why the European countries has established or launched the Bologna system, because there are a lot of reasons. Some of them is about the comparing of the qualifications in all the European region, which because the qualifications need to be recognized by the labor market in Europe. Now, some of countries along the world out of the European region also tried to make some kind of aligning of their educational system to Europe. And I think we in Palestine are part of the world, and we also want our qualifications to be recognized in all over the world, in Europe and in other regions in Asia or other countries. So, first of all, I will introduce myself. My name is Samer Musa Hussein. I am the General Director of Technical Education at the Ministry of Education here in Palestine and Higher Education. And I am also the, let's say, coordinator of the ministerial committee that was in charge of developing the Palestinian National Qualification Framework here in Palestine. We have finished our work in the last couple of months, working for 3 years in developing the National Qualification Framework in Palestine. And I think many of us know what is the National Qualification Framework about. It's about classifying and categorizing all the qualifications in Palestine, and also strengthen the outcome of all the qualifications. I will make my presentation because it will give you a good overview about the education system in Palestine and the Palestinian NQF, and also how can we align the education system in Palestine with the Bolognian system. So
I believe you have a share. You can share it
yeah,
if you would like. Yeah.
yeah, of course, of course. Just a minute. Okay. Okay. I think you can see the screen.
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. Of course, I will talk about aligning the Palestinian National Qualification Framework with the Bolognian system. First of all, the education system in Palestine have been developed in many years, but now we are talking about the preschool education. These are for the students from age 4 to 5.5 years, and also we have the basic education for the grades from the 1st grade to the 9th grade, and this education is compulsory for all the students. Then the student will move to the 10th and 11th and 12th grade to have their secondary education. The secondary education is divided into 2 tracks, the academic and vocational tracks. The vocational in particular is divided into 3 paths. One of them is the higher education secondary certificate, vocational and academic, and also the Al-Kafa'a path, and the third one is the partnership path. The vocational training also is provided by training centers through supervised by the Ministry of Labor. Some of them are governmental and some of them are private, and they are primarily employment focused. The higher education is provided through 2 types of institutions. One of them is the technical and community colleges, which provide a 2-year higher associate diploma or intermediate diploma, and also the universities that are offering a bachelor's degree, high diploma, master, and doctorate degree. Of course, the students who have been graduated from the technical colleges, who have the intermediate diploma, can make some kind of bridging to have their bachelor degree and continue their higher education studies. Okay. Now, according to the law, the higher education law here in Palestine, each degree has a minimum credit hours that the students should attend in order to have their degrees. Of course, we need to know that when the institution apply for the accreditation of its program, it should comply with the minimum credit hours needed. This is very important because in Bologna system, the situation is different, and I will speak about this. Of course, the oversight entities are the Ministry of Education and Higher Education, and the ACAC is the Accreditation and Quality Assurance Commission, which is responsible for the general accreditation of the institution and the specific accreditation of the programs, all programs in higher education in particular. Of course, the key challenges here is the variation in institutional standards and the limited alignment with the labor market needs. Of course, we can say that when the program is accredited for the first time, they will give some market studies about the need of the labor market, but within the years, when the years pass year by year, it will be not valid. So this will make some kind of limited alignment. The absence of unified learning outcomes-based system, because the Palestinian National Qualification Framework is not accredited yet, or to be very specific, is not adopted, even though it is the draft or the document is there. Now, the Palestinian National Qualification Framework is a tool designed to classify and organize qualifications across all education and training sectors in Palestine. We have developed this, let's say, document with reference with the international frameworks. I mean, some regional, we have make some alignment with the European qualification framework and also with the Arab qualification framework. And we have also discussed this with some relevant institutions. For example, the European Training Foundation. We have revised our document with them, and they gave us a very remarkable notes and remarks, and we have made some modifications here and there according to make this alignment, let's say, constructive. The core objectives is to standardize the qualifications development and improve transparency across sectors and strengthen the alignment between education and labor market needs, and also to facilitate the mobility and lifelong learning. Our national qualification framework, I mean the Palestinian, uses 3 learning domains: knowledge, skills, autonomy, and responsibility. And this was chosen upon a survey was given to some of the labor market representatives and also relevant stakeholders in education. And they said that these are the main learning domains that we should focus in this stage. And after this, we can expand this to other domains. Now, the levels are 8 levels, which aligns with the European qualification framework. The first, from level 1 to level 3, is the basic and secondary education and vocational certificates. Level 4 is short cycle higher education certificates and specialized vocational diplomas. Level 5 is the academic and technical intermediate diploma. Level 6, bachelor. Level 7 is higher diploma and master degree. Level 8 is doctorate. Each level, of course, includes a detailed descriptors for the educational domains that I have talked before or in the last slide. Now, the important here is to talk about the intersection between the Palestinian National Qualification Framework and the Bologna process. The similarities are both frameworks, or the process and our PNQF, rely on learning outcomes. Both use clearly defined qualification levels. Both support lifelong learning and mobility. And they are also both require strong quality assurance. And that's why we have developed 3 manuals. One of the manuals is the quality assurance manual for the PNQF. The differences is that the Bologna system uses ECTS credits as a standardized workload measure. And the Palestinian National Qualification Framework includes a broader vocational and technical pathways. How can the Bologna process be implemented in Palestine if we are looking for this as a goal. First of all, we need to align the Palestinian national qualification framework levels with the Bologna three-cycle structure, because in Palestine, the three-cycle structure is focusing on level 6, 7, and 8 in the Palestinian national qualification framework, namely bachelor, master, and doctorate. Then we need to introduce the ECTS credit system to convert the national credit hour calculations in Palestine into the ECTS equivalents, and also to standardize the learning outcomes across institutions. Of course, we are talking about the BLOs, program learning outcomes, about the CLOs, course learning outcomes, and also the outcome mapping that follow the P and QF levels. Also, we need to strengthen the quality assurance for the qualifications, expand the mandate and capacity of ACAC to ensure compliance with the Bologna principle. Of course, I talked about the ACAC because the ACAC is the responsible of the quality assurance and accreditation of these levels 6, 7, and 8. But if there, for example, will be a national qualification body in Palestine, it will be responsible for strengthening the quality assurance in this matter. Of course, we need also to establish partnership with European universities for credit recognition and student exchange, and also to have a national qualification register to enable transparent across to all qualifications levels and pathways. The key recommendations, this is my final slide. I hope that I didn't talk too much. We need to update the higher education policies to incorporate Bologna standards and establish a specialized unit within the ministry to oversee the alignment with the European higher education area, and also to train academic staff on the ECTS learning outcomes, curricular design, and also modernize university programs to match labor market needs and future skills, and to encourage international cooperation to support recognition and mobility, and finally to ensure that the Palestinian National Qualification Framework becomes the national reference for all qualifications, and to, of course, to have the registry that I have talked about. This is what I, from my point of view, is the recommendations for adopting the Bologna system in Palestine. Thank you very much.
Interesting. Thank you, Samer, about for this presentation. If you can stop sharing the screen, that would be good. So this is important to know and to understand what the ministry has done so far in terms of the Bologna, because the opening question is always, do we need it or not? And we link to some European university in terms of mobility, credits, recognition. This is important. And later on, we will be having, different insights from different university, because still some university, they are still facing challenge in terms of recognition of the courses, in terms of the ICM mobility and something like that. Different universities, they have different policies. So this is maybe the role of the ministry, how we can really have joint efforts in that regard. Thank you, Samir. And I believe many colleagues, they will be having questions as well about the role of the ministry in this regard. So if you allow me, we move to Dr. Abdel Halim Qadir, and to see how we can really apply Bologna process and the benefit of such a system in strengthening science education, and the good example of one of the projects which is funded by the Erasmus program based project. So this is important to know more about this project and how we can really implement it, and what the role of the ministry is in both sides, Jordan and Palestine. Dr. Abdel Halim, you can access the share if you have a presentation as well. And if you face any challenge, just let me know. Thank you. And please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amir. I'm just trying to share my screen. There's a problem. Open settings. It looks like my laptop doesn't like Teams.
You don't
Sorry,
use Teams at Al Najah
no,
University?
no, we
No?
use Zoom
Zoom.
mainly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because different universities, they shift to Teams.
yeah.
If you send it to me, I can share it from
Okay.
here. You can share it by email or WhatsApp, so that's
I'll
faster as
I'll
well.
I'll send it by WhatsApp. Just 1 second, please.
Yeah, that will be good.
Okay.
In meanwhile, I think we still have a bit of time to start. This is, the presentation. If you have any question to Samir or to Dr. Ramon, Dr. Jawad, good morning. You can introduce yourself, please, and then open the discussion. Yeah. You need to unmute yourself. ممكن
Sorry.
تشيل الميوت
Sorry.
إلك ساعة بتحكي
Sorry.
عرفها مع حالك دكتور لو
sure.
سمحت وممكن تسأل السؤال أو تشاركنا النقاش تفضل.
Sure. My name is Raj Shukar. I'm the Vice President for Planning, Development and Quality at Al-Quds University. And I would like to first of all to thank Professor Ramon for his noble feelings toward the Palestinian community and supporting the Palestinian community, and extended that to his family. That's very important to share. And I have a question regarding the Bologna system. Is very important system where we try to do this with universities in Europe versus a program in the master's program supported by the Erasmus, which is the water engineering system. We could not follow that because due to the war and so on, there's certain difficulties. But my question is to Samir. I would like Mr. Ramon to comment on that. You mentioned that the idea, bear what Dr. Muammar mentioned, is to shift from 4 years to 3 years programs in the science, and but still you show on the slide 120 credit hours as a minimum, and that's in the science, which is, I know this is what has been published by ACAC, but how you are going to shift to the Bologna system, keeping 120 credit hours in 3 years. So I think there's a gap between the number of credit hours versus the number of years. And I think Dr. Abdul Halim probably will comment on that. I see that he's onto that. I hope my question is clear, because in the engineering, they shifted from 4 years to 5 years. They reduced from 100, I guess, 50 to 137. So we should look at that opportunity as well without losing the part of the knowledge. We are going to do that. Otherwise, probably we'll face a problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jawad. So we have 2 minutes to answer this, and then we will continue the discussion. Dr. Ramon, you can comment, and Samir as well, and then we move to Abdul Halim presentation. Yes, Ramon.
To be very, very concrete, the first decision taken by the Spanish government and the Spanish parliament in applying the Bologna process was that the 3 years bachelor would be 4 years bachelor. So in Spain, the 3 years bachelor does not exist. First point. Does this create a problem for international mobility? No. And I'll take the example of my older granddaughter. He enrolled the program, 4 years program, at one of the universities in Barcelona. She studied the first 2 years in Barcelona, doing also some subjects from the third and the fourth year. Then on the third year, she moved to Toulouse. And the third year in Toulouse was validated for some, not all, for some of the subjects in the third year. And what happened in the fourth year? Nothing. She continued to be enrolled in the fourth year in Barcelona, and in Toulouse, she was enrolled in the first year of master. No problem at all. And then she stood a fifth year in Toulouse, no longer enrolled at the University of Barcelona, doing the second year of French master. And during this second year of French master, she spent a semester in Maastricht in the Netherlands. And you say, but this is not the logic, because first of all, the dogma that a number of credits earned must be recognized was not followed at all. She earned in Toulouse a number of credits that only partially were recognized in Barcelona. She earned in Maastricht a number of credits that only partially were recognized in Toulouse. But this remained, inverted commas, a very good business, because she, in 5 years, got 4 diplomas: the bachelor in Spain, the bachelor in France, the master in France, and a sort of master certificate between Toulouse and Maastricht in the Netherlands. So you'll tell me, yeah, but this is not what we have been told that happens. No, but I'm sorry, I'm very empirical. I don't know if this is what you are told. What I'm telling you is that this is the reality of the facts. This is what happens.
Thank you. Samir, would you like to comment or to answer the question, or yeah?
Yes. Okay. Okay, you can hear me. Okay. I agree with what he said about how can we align, whereas we are adopting the credit hours, the minimum credit hours for each program. And this is his question is valid because here in Palestine we have a minimum credit hours for each degree, and this because we are adopting the American approach for the education, not the European approach. The Bologna process is let's say built on the ECTS European points and the European qualification framework, and because of this they have only 3 levels: the bachelor, the master, and doctorate. And they have also a unified quality assurance and accreditation standards. So what we need to do, of course, we need to transfer the credit hour system to the European credit or the European ECTS system. For example, one ECTS is, for example, 25 to 30 actual learning education hours. This includes what is happening in the class, the homeworks, the labs, also the research. These all could be converted in this. For example, the 120 bachelor degree could be equivalent to 180 to 240 ECTS. This needs, let's say, a very accurate study for each program. But what is the benefit of doing this? It will make the Palestinian certificates more easily recognized in Europe. So this is one step. The other steps is to have some alignment of the Palestinian qualification framework with the European qualification framework. And this is one of the most important steps in Bologna process, which means a very clear learning outputs for each level. I mean knowledge, skills, competences, and also to describe each program according to the European qualification framework, and which means in very simple words that the Bachelor of Palestine will be equivalent to the Bachelor of Europe if we are talking about the level, I mean. Of course, there are other things that we can do, but I agree, maybe we sometimes need to make some modification for some policies, and even maybe we will think of some kind of modification for the law, because the Bologna process should be recognized in Palestine for for the exchange of students and the mobility and etc. I hope I have answered this very clear.
Thank you. And we will come back for other question, comments, and different insights from colleagues. So we move to you, Dr. Abdul Halim. I would like as well to share your presentation. It's here in order to start with you. Give me a second and I will do it. I hope you can see the presentation. It
Can you
works,
share
yeah?
screen, please? Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very good. Yes, please.
Hello, everyone. Good morning again. And please let me first thank all of you for attending this webinar. And special thank you to Ramon. And we Palestinian people are very grateful to your support. And we feel your sincerity. And I have a joke. Last summer, I was in Barcelona and I saw more Palestinian flags than I see in any Palestinian city. So we feel it. We thank all the Spanish people for this solidarity. Thank you again. And before I start, my presentation will be why Bologna process is important for science education and what we are doing in this project, our base project, and some key findings and capacity building actions. Next, please. So if we look at the recent Nobel Prize winners in medicine, not in other form, we find very simple common factor. Almost all of them started their journey with degrees in basic sciences, mainly biology, chemistry, physics, or mathematics. This tells us that strong science education is not a luxury. It is the foundation for medical innovation and major breakthroughs in health. But unfortunately, in our region, the perception of science education is often not very positive, and we see fewer and fewer students choosing science programs at university. This is exactly where the BASE project comes in. It offers a way to elevate the status of science education, to modernize our programs, and hopefully attract more talented students in these critical fields. Next, please. So for basic sciences, the Bologna process gives us a common language and structure. It helps make a bachelor's degree in physics or chemistry from Palestine or Jordan more understandable and comparable to degrees in Europe. It supports mobility, joint programs, and recognition of qualifications, which are all crucial for research and employability in science. Next, please. A key pillar is quality assurance. This means transparent standards and accreditation, and a focus on learning outcomes and competencies, not only on contact hours. Strong quality assurance builds trust. Students, employers, and international partners know what a degree from our universities actually means. Next, please. So Bologna aligned structures also make student and staff mobility much easier. When credits, levels, and learning outcomes are comparable, it is simpler to organize exchanges, joint supervision, and joint programs. For science, where research is highly international, this is especially important. Next, please. At the end of the day, student asks, will this degree help me get a job or continue my studies? Bologna tools like ECTS, clear levels, diploma supplement, improve transparency and recognition of degrees, and this supports employability both locally and internationally. So the base project, Bologna for science education in Palestine and Jordan, is our concrete response to these needs. The goal is to modernize science education programs in Palestine and Jordan by adopting key Bologna principles, aligning curricula in basic science with European standards, strengthening quality assurance and accreditation practices, and building capacity of academic and administrative staff to implement and sustain these reforms. BASE is implemented by a strong consortium. As you can see, we have 17 partners. On the Palestinian side, we have Najah National University, the coordinator of the project, Palestinian Technical University, Khadouri, and Arab American University. On the Jordanian side, we have Jordan University of Science and Technology, Al-Balqa Applied University, and German Jordanian University. From Europe, we have wonderful partners, University of Pisa and University of Barcelona, who have been very helpful so far in this project. Plus, we have ministries, quality assurance agencies in Palestine, Jordan, and Europe, and networks such as the UNIMED, Mediterranean University Union, Association of Arab Universities. So we have a very wide and very strong consortium in this project. Next, please. So before I move to the readiness assessment, let me highlight an important recognition. Lately, last month, the BASE project is officially labeled by the Union of Mediterranean UFM. This UFM label is more than just a logo. It recognizes that BASE has a strategic regional impact for countries in the southern and eastern Mediterranean. It gives political endorsement and increases the visibility of our work among UFM members, partners, and donors. And it aligns our activities with UFM priorities in higher education, employability, youth, and innovation. For us as partners, this label is both an acknowledgement of quality and a strong motivation to deliver concrete, sustainable results in science education reform. Next, please. So we are working on 3 levels. At the regulatory level, we support ministries and Q&A agencies to adopt regulations and standards in line with Bologna principles. Next, please. At the university level, we work on bylaws and international policies, credit systems, progression rules, assessment regulations. And on the 3rd level, next, please. Next, please. We are working on the program level. We support departments and study programs to redesign curricula, define learning outcomes, and improve teaching and assessment. This multi-level approach ensures that reforms are coherent and sustainable. Next, please. A major component of BASE is capacity building. We organize training for academic and administrative staff on the philosophy and tools of Bologna process, study plan design and mapping learning outcomes, student-centered teaching methods, and assessment and measurement of student performance. The idea is to build internal expertise in each partner university, not to depend forever on external consultants. Next, please. So far, we have conducted readiness assessment in all partner institutions and countries. We developed a capacity building plan. We performed a Bologna gap analysis for targeted programs, and we selected pilot programs in the basic sciences that will be reformed first. We are now moving from analysis and planning to implementation and piloting. Next, please. So first, I will talk about the readiness. Let me highlight just a few key findings from the readiness assessment. First, most institutions formally use the three-cycle structure, but many STEM first cycle programs still last 4 years or more, and credits are not yet fully aligned with ECTS workload-based system. Second, teaching and assessment are still largely lecture and exam-centered. Student-centered learning, problem-based approaches, and outcome-based assessment are used, but not consistently. Third, mobility exists, especially through Erasmus+, but systematic use of tools like the diploma supplement and the recognition of prior or non-formal learning is still limited. Finally, quality assurance systems are in place, but student and employer involvement in program design and review and employability tracking are areas that need significant strengthening. Those are the main findings of the readiness assessment. Next, please. For the capacity building plan, based on those findings, we designed the capacity building plan. The main actions include training staff to design Bologna-aligned STEM programs with clear learning outcomes, modules, and progression across cycle. Supporting the shift to workload-based credit systems, fully aligned with ECTS, with harmonized definitions across higher education institutions, ministries, and QA bodies. Building capacity in active student-centered teaching and producing high-quality program and course documentation. Developing shared procedures for recognition and mobility, including foreign qualification evaluation, the diploma supplement, and recognition for prior non-formal and informal learning. And finally, training students, staff, ministries, QA agencies, and labor market together through webinars, training in Barcelona, and study visits to Rome and Pisa to ensure that all stakeholders share a common understanding of the reform. Next, please. So in the next phase, we will finalize and implement reforms in the selected pilot programs, deliver planned capacity building activities and study visits, and monitor and evaluate how these changes affect program structure, teaching practices, and student experience. The idea is to create models that can later be scaled up to other programs and faculties, and hopefully other universities in the region, in Palestine and Jordan. Next, please. So as an idea, this idea has not been approved yet by the project, but I'll share it with you to have your feedback if you want. Flexible vocational track and micro credentials that will support the implementation of the Bologna process. So one innovative idea we are exploring is a flexible vocational track based on micro credentials. Instead of adding a rigid, separate fourth vocational year, we propose stackable extended micro credentials that students can earn during their bachelor studies. Each micro-credential focuses on a specific industry relevant skill. For example, a lab technique, a software tool, or a specific applied competence. When stacked, these micro-credentials from a coherent vocational portfolio in parallel with the academic degree. The structure is flexible. A student might complete a bachelor plus a strong vocational track in 3 years or 4 years, depending on pace and national regulations. For employers, this gives a very clear picture of both the academic foundation and the practical skills of our graduates. For universities, It is a way to stay responsive to labor market needs while fully respecting Bologna structure and quality assurance requirements.
Dr. Abdul Halim, I don't know how many slides you still have.
Last slide.
Yeah.
Okay. So to conclude, the Bologna process gives us powerful framework to make science education in Palestine and Jordan more transparent, comparable, and internationally connected. Through BASE, we are turning these principles into concrete reform at regulatory, institutional, and program levels. And by exploring micro-credential and flexible vocational tracks, we aim to better connect our graduates to labor markets. And thank you very much. And sorry if I took too long.
No, this is very good to know more about some examples in Palestine and how we can really support in science and other fields in terms of the Bologna process. And we link it to employability, how with the student they can really have less, years at university, and then they can have a job later on. So thank you very much for sharing this insights and, the experience of the project. Now we have a bit of time for discussion, insights as well, and comments. We can start. Yes, Dr. Jawad again, please go ahead.
You can give the floor for others.
No, it's okay. No. You can start, and then we wait for others to raise their hands. You can raise your hand, or you can write any comments on chat, so that would be fine. Yes, please.
Sure.
Dr. Jawad, go ahead.
Sure. I would continue with my comments to Samir and Ramon. I think they answered part of my question, but still I can see with Abdul Rahman is a gap. I would like to see the question is as follow. If the partner universities applying this already in the science programs, what about the other programs in other universities? Are we going to have two different models in the universities in Palestine, or the miss is going into the direction to generalize this part? I like the idea very much of the macro credentials in bridging or closing the gap between what is the missing part, and I have a concern, two concerns actually. One is, are we only transferring from credit hours into ECTS program without reflecting the pedagogy of learning into that process, or you are doing this because I'm not part in the project? Probably you are doing that. You are looking at this part. And the second concern, I can see that the universities in Palestine, they are trying to recruit more students. And we're talking about the labor market. Do we have a gap in the number of graduates in all disciplines, medicine, arts, science, whatever, which they take 4 years, so we have a margin to allow the employment. But if we send students to the market within 3 years, we are adding extra youth, manpower into the market, but the request for jobs is less. So these are my concerns, and I have others, but I'll stick with this. We'll give the opportunity to other colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jawad. For the first question about the implementation, as I said, we are piloting one program from each partner university in partnership with ACAC and the ministry. They are both partners with us. So the program will be like a parallel to what is already in place. So there will be a pilot program in the Bologna system, and the other programs in the same faculty will be the same. And as you know, if the pilot succeeds, we will scale up and apply it to other universities, and the ministry and ACAC will acknowledge it all over the country. In terms of employability, I believe that we have a gap, but not in quantity, it's in quality. We have, from my talks with the labor market, they need employees, but they need employees with specific skills that are lacking. Our current system does not deliver what they need. So the micro credentials might bridge this gap. For example, you can have a degree in biology with a micro credential in some lab techniques. You can have a degree in chemistry with micro credentials in like soap manufacturing, something like that. So the labor market will be welcoming you. So that's the idea. It's not just quality of the quantity of students. We are talking about quality of graduates.
Okay, good. Would you like to comment, Ramon or Samir?
No, I have already written 2 messages in the chat, because in the Arab countries, but also in Africa, I fear that countries intend to do what not has been done in Europe. You are intending to harmonize what in Europe has not been harmonized. So please read my first message. Behind the Bologna process, there is not one line, one word of harmonizing legislation. Not one. Please take me seriously. Not one. So this means that member states do with the Bologna process what they want. Of course. Of course. As I told you, in Spain, the first thing they did with the 3 years bachelor's, 2 years master was saying, no, here we'll have 4-year bachelor's and 1 year or 1 year and a half master's. And if you want to do a good study at first level in terms of qualification frameworks in Italy on jurisprudence, which is important because there come people who will produce laws in the future, you will have to study 5 years, because the laurea in jurisprudenza is 5 years long. This is what the fact. If you allow me, because now we have become all friends. This is the advantage of this meeting. If I will not mention universities in the project. If you want to have some relationship with, for example, Technical University München, the Technical University in München, in Baviera, in Germany, and they do not accept Palestinian students and do not recognize their studies in Palestine partially, put a very beatific face and say, why? Why? Why do they recognize the studies to people from a small town in Spain and not from Palestine? Why? And you'll see that the only answer is because we do not want. Because if they wanted, they would recognize them. I assume that in the framework of the BASE project, the European universities that participate in it, that is to say PISA and the University of Barcelona, do not create any problem with mobility for Palestinian students. That would be already extraordinary if they are in the same project. And there is a need for harmonization on this. No. the dean of the Faculty of Science and the dean of the Faculty of Science in a Palestinian university get together, of the head of studies, and say the following, which was the paper my older granddaughter signed. Listen, if you study these subjects in the Palestinian university, plus micro-credentials, okay, I like, plus micro-credentials, I will recognize to you these subjects. Because people, this is something, Amir, that we should discuss next year. People do not understand that recognition is counted in credits, but recognition is qualitative. You recognize a list of specific subjects and validate them by another list of qualitative subjects. It is clear that you cannot pretend with 100 credits in nanophysics to have them recognized by 100 credits in law or economics. Why? Because what matters is not the number of credits, but the qualitative part of it. And do not get much fooled either with learning outcomes. Learning outcomes at the university in Barcelona are completely different from the learning outcomes in the university in France. But the deans, the heads of studies, meet together and say, okay, we are interested in having students moving. So we take this list of subjects and we count them in credits if you want, and we recognize them, we validate them by this list of subjects. The issue of recognition, people forget, is not quantitative, it's qualitative. As I said before, you will not intend to have 9 credits in biochemistry recognized by 9 credits in administrative law. So you must have 2 lists of subjects. But again, the best way, again, Amir, it's an idea for you. The best way is to see, not to talk about learning agreements, but Abdel Halem, to put in the screen one learning agreement. And I assure you that if you put in a screen one learning agreement, at the end of the 2 pages, you will see an accountability in credits. Okay, because this is how it is done. But what matters is not this last column, but the previous column, in which you have the list of subjects, of disciplines in a university, and the list of disciplines validated for in the other university. And all this without any harmonizing legislation. Any harmonizing legislation. If you tell me, and behind ECTS, what is the piece of legislation behind ECTS? I will give you a very simple answer. No one, not one. There is no legislation on ECTS. It is a mechanism invented 15 years before Bologna to facilitate exchanges. And that's it. I'm sorry to be somehow, Abdel Hakim and Hawat, a bit brutal, but there has been so many, allow me, so many blah, 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 blah on this, that sometimes people so old, like me, who this year commemorates the 60th year of his entry in the university, you can forgive me for being brutal, because when one is old, one can be brutal. But sorry, again, Amir, This
Good,
is
good
to
to share
discuss
that.
in detail, and see the documentation and see the papers, not the literature, the documents. I'm sorry.
Very
I
good. Yeah.
have already
No, it's good
talked
to
too
open
much.
discussion in such a way because it's important. Because sometimes we think how we can really align ourselves with, global education, but still we do have, different kind of unique situation in Palestine. And we need to think about the student and the job market for them because we do have different restrictions and we do have really limit job market. I don't know, maybe if you have
And sorry, Amir,
yeah.
if you allow me, in a meeting a few years ago by UNIMET in Rome. So I think that someone from UNIMET is here. At that, I am very good friend of Marcello Scalisi, and at the time we worked very closely together. I put forward an argument that impressed a lot people in the audience, which is to say, listen, in some cases, the engine of international cooperation, including in higher education, is ethics. Does mainstream literature talk about ethics? The issue about Palestinian students being recognized his or her studies in Europe, it's a problem of ethics. Either one believes in ethics or not. If one believes in ethics, I guarantee you that if I was a rector of a European university, you would not have any problem in having your students accepted in my university.
Good to share that, Ramon. So let's continue like we still have a bit of time if you have any other questions, dear colleagues.
Dr.
Yeah.
Amir, I have
Samer, please go ahead.
I have some comments. Of course, first of all, I want to highlight what Mr. Ramon said, and he put it in a capital letters on the chat, meeting chat, and he emphasized that Bologna process does not have a single line of law, and it is not a single line. So he suggested that we can do as in Spain, 4 years for bachelor and 1 year for master. He said also that in Italy it is worse. So these words mean that, or it means that we can study very carefully our system and think what we can do in order to align with the Bologna process. And I think from my point of view that first of all, we need in Palestine to adopt the ECTS credit system and then make some reform for the curricula based on the learning outcomes, because this is a very important thing in the Bologna process. And then we need to enhance our quality assurance system according to the European standards. Then I can give, let's say, an example. Since somebody is focusing on the current credit hours. For example, if we want to make some transfer, this is an example, not an actual judgment. If we want to transfer or to our credit hours to the ECTS system, the bachelor degree of 120 hours is about 180 to 240 ECTS. The master degree is 36 hours, which can transfer to 60 to 120 ECTS. The PhD, 48 credit hours could have 180 ECTS, approximately, I mean. So this is what we can do, for example, to transfer. We don't need to make a very, let's say, a big change in our current system, I mean. But somebody may ask me, what about the intermediate diploma or the associate diploma or the high diploma, for example? For example, in Europe, in the Bologna process, there is no something called intermediate diploma in the traditional way that is existent in Palestine or the Arab world. But they have something in their European qualification framework, level 5, called short cycle qualification. And this short cycle qualification is after the high school and before the bachelor degree. It is 90 to 120 ECTS. And they give the graduate a higher education short cycle award or associate degree in some countries. And this exactly what Dr. Raymond said, that there's no one line. You can consider it a short cycle award or associate degree or something else. So in Palestine, to make this diploma accredited in Bologna process, we need to put the associate diploma in level 5 of the national qualification framework. I hope that I explained this through this example, and this could be done also in the high diploma, which is part of the higher education system in Palestine.
Thank you, Sammy, for sharing this as well. This is part of what we are discussing. I don't know. Yeah, we have Mr. Samir. Samar. Miss Samar, تفضلي. Samar, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Dr. Amir, for organizing this event, and special thanks to Dr. Ramon for his support and for his interesting introduction, and also for Samer for his rich PowerPoint. My question is for Dr. Abdel Halim. I think now the basic science will be 3 years instead of 4 years. Then the student will go for a micro-credential course that aligns with the labor market needs and foster his or her employability. My question is it compulsory to take this micro-credential? And in this case, can it be considered or equivalent to a master degree? That is my first question. And the second, does this, let's say, updated bachelor degree in basic science will evolve a career path for basic science to pursue other disciplines, for example, biology, to study medicine? Thank you for your answer and for your intervention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Samar. The answer to this is I don't know because the project is still in the first year, so we are working on it. On February there will be the higher level capacity building for administrative representative of the universities and the ministries, and in Barcelona with our partners, and we will try to answer your questions. So for now, we want to align our science education with Bologna process, but how to go forth? Each one of the 17 partners have their idea. The idea of this project is to come together and to extract the best idea among these ideas. So what I think about the process, maybe my colleague from the Arab American University thinks differently. But I will present my point of view, and he will present his point of view with our European partners, with their long experience in Bologna process. We will work on something better for science education in Palestine.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Samar. Dr. Jawad, yes, please.
Yes, it's again, I'm just trying to figure out and to understand more why we are moving to the Bologna system. We have the credit system, the American system, And all we know why we have it, and then why we are shifting, and I have no problem with that, as I mentioned previously. And I would like to add that when Samir mentioned the master's program, in our master program, which is already accredited in the ACAC, in the ministry, the 36 credit hours are equivalent to 119 ACTS credits. And that's we did that just to facilitate the relationship with the universities that we worked with. The idea here is, I think we should just to look at what is the problems with the credits, what are the missing points, and if the ECTS or the Bologna program, if you like to say, that it would really close this gap, because we don't want to create another gap versus the future if our students want to go for the United States, for example, or to Jordan, because if you apply this for the sciences, what about the medicine if we convert completely into the Bologna system and our students will go to continue in Jordan or to Arab countries? We just want to make sure that we are not bridging a gap and closing another gap because of the exchange. The exchange, for a certain extent, it's a super excellent, but later on, after the exchange program, they will go into the market, and the market will decide the needs. So we just want to make sure that the credit hours versus the Bologna system, they are completing the picture and not creating another gap that we don't see. I think we should focus on the quality, because in our understanding, which is a false understanding in the credit hours, it's the teacher centric, that he do everything, and that's not true in principle. That should be the same way as ECTS, that the student is doing a lot of work versus the facilitator, the teacher who facilitates the process. In United States program, the teacher gives a delivery, this is what we do, and then the students, they have tasks to do, the exam, first exam, second exam, and so on. In Europe, the system is completely different. And what I just want to confirm regarding Ramon, I've studied in Germany. I had the first degree and second degree in Palestine. I did not face any kind of problem because the university, they recognized my degrees, and and that's an agreement between the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Education in Europe or in Germany. But for sure, it's a decision of the university to decide to take, and it could be a political decision sometimes. So do this conversion makes a difference or not? That's a problem. I think the competencies are the goal that we are looking at, how to enhance the program or the outputs of the programs, because already let's face the reality, already we have the inputs are very weak. Students coming from the schools very weak, bearing in mind in Europe or in what all over the world, students, they come from a different background. They finish the school, they are embedded in the system, they come already mature to the university. In our system, they finish the high school and they directly goes into the university, and the role of the university to shape their characters. So we have to look on these. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jawad. Yeah, I see Samuel and Ramon like raising their hands for answer. Yes, please.
Very briefly, at OpenReal, we work a lot on Africa. In Africa, there are 3 credit systems, more or less well consolidated, the 3 of them. In one, I don't know exactly the numbers now, but the proportion, yes. In one, a diploma must have 120 credits, and in another country, 240. And I ask them, and why do you want to harmonize this? It's much easier. 2 credits of the second system are worth 1 credit of the first system. You are much more scientist than I. Create an algorithm at the level of a 12-year kid and translate one system into the other. And this, in fact, is an answer to your question, Javad.
Yes.
Instead of changing the model, adapt the models.
Mhm.
The United Kingdom changed nothing when they were in the European Union with Bologna. It was Bologna who took more or less the UK system. So they didn't change anything at all. They didn't care at all, as if Bologna did not exist. And everyone knows how to do a multiplication and a division.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I want also to comment on what Samar said or asked about the micro credentials and the relation between the micro credentials and the programs at the universities. First of all, the Bologna system depends, or let's say, it have some kind of what we can say is the basics that allow the recognition of micro-credentials inside each program. For example, they have the ECTS credits, they have the recognition of prior learning, the RPL, and they have the lifelong learning and the flexible learning pathways. But how do they recognize the micro-credentials of the learners within the ECTS? First of all, there are some criteria and standards. For example, if the micro-credential is not accredited academically, I mean, the university evaluate the content, the workload, the learning outcomes, and then it transfer it into an ECTS. For the bachelor degree, they recognize the micro-credentials as electives or free elective or part of the a minor certificate or through a skill modules. So they can accredit it in bachelor and master also, but within a very specific conditions or standards. They do not make it, let's say, open, or somebody can accredit this as part of the learning system or degrees without having some kind of clear, very clear learning outcomes, or without an assessment, or without transferring the load into an ECTS, the learning hours into an ECTS. And this will needs some kind of revision from an academic committee, and also a logic link with the bachelor or master degree. So if these conditions or these criteria have been achieved, it will be part of the degree without any problem. This is what happens in the Bologna system, and I think it could be happen in Palestine, but it needs also some kind of careful evaluation of each micro credential.
Good. Thank you. So I don't know if you still have any other question. If not, we can sum up. If you have any recommendation, suggestion from Ramon, Samir, and Abdel Halim, and other colleagues, Dr. Jawad, any recommendation to sum up with and to take it with us? Yes, please. Dr. Jawad.
Yeah, well, first of all, I would like to thank you, Amir, for this fruitful discussions. And it's very important to generalize this. I think it's very important, this meeting, to happen once more, especially after the colleagues go for their meetings and come back again. I suggest to have a further meeting, because what Samar mentioned is very valid, and what Samar later on commented because my suggestion is to go for the 3 years and to keep the micro-credentials within. So if we want to have it embedded, let's force the students to do the micro-credentials within the process, so they link the knowledge in the market versus or what are the needs of the market within they are taking their programs directly in the university. So I think this recommendation should be taken consideration, and the group of micro-credentials, what will happen, and if they can let us know or study this, a group of micro-credentials, does that lead eventually at the end to reduce 1 year of the master's program? Because if you go and study in the UK 1 year, you have a master's program. If you come back again here to Palestine, they recognize you in UK, but in Palestine it's still no. You have to have 2 years, while our students, they need 3 years to 4 years to finish their master's programs because they are not fully employed or not fully students. And another comment for Sam regarding the PhD, 48 points to have a PhD or credit hours to have a PhD. I think that's too much. In other countries, because this is the states, the United States program, or let's say laws. But in Europe, you could finish your studies without any credit hour. By the way, unless if there is a gap, you need to bridge or whatever, because they focus mainly on the research. They want you as a researcher, and if you want to have you as an academic, then you need to do whatever is needed to be a good academic. So my recommendation is, please take what Summer said and what has been discussed here to the second level of your discussions within the project, and would love to be posted about the outcome, so we can go all together into a better system. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jawad. Thank you. Would you like to say any final word, Ramon, Samer, Abdul Halim? Yes, please.
I have just one word. I would like to thank everyone again, and my recommendation is just to wait for us to finalize the project, and we promise you we will have another discussion, open discussion, and I'm sure that you will be satisfied with the outcomes of the project.
We are already satisfied.
Inshallah. We wish you all the best. Yeah,
And,
Samer,
just one more thought for Jawad. There is another Erasmus project dealing with PhD reform. So I think they're working on that.
Yeah, we are partners.
Yeah, Al-Quds is partner with that project. Yeah, PhD governance. Yeah, thank you. Sama, would you like to say anything, or Samer, or other colleagues?
Thank you very much. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
efforts.
Okay,
Thank you.
so on you, yeah, Samer, please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Amir.
Thank you very much. On your behalf, I would like to thank Ramon for accepting the invitation to join us for this Bologna event. And this is the start, I would say. Maybe such a discussion is always needed at the Palestinian Higher Education Institution, because the main question is, do we need Bologna or we don't need Bologna? So such a discussion is important because we have success stories, or we will be having success stories in terms of some projects. Universities now, they're keen for internationalization. So they think about how we can really equivalent the courses in Europe, ECTS, to American system. We don't have one model, one manual, each university trying to figure out how they can do it. The ministry has tried before, but still at some extent, it's not really clear how we can do it. And this is not only the case of Palestine, but other countries, they are using or based on US system, which is, the actual credit hours. So I would like to thank you all for participation. We will be sharing the link with you if you would like to share it or something like that. And if you have any feedback later on, you can send it by email. If you need contact for Dr. Ramon as well, we can share it with you. That would be fine. And all the best for all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice afternoon and
Bye-bye.
enjoy the weekend.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Ciao,
Thank
ciao.
Bye-bye.
you, everybody.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you all.
Nice
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
discussion. Thank you. Bye bye.